Merry meet and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name's Paula. Today I want to go over the astrological and planetary influences and alignments that will be in play on Yule for 2019. Now, depending on where you are in the world, Yule can happen the evening of the 21st or very early in the morning on the 22nd. These calculations that I'm going over are for my time of Yule, which is like 11, close to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. in the area of Washington, D.C. So with those coordinates in play, the first alignment that I want to speak about is the sun. The sun is about self and individuality and your personality. Now, the sun is in Sagittarius this time of year, and Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, okay, which is a focus on justice and happiness. It's also a focus on an active and honest and open social life. And this really fits in for this time of year because we tend to be more socially active during the holidays than we normally are at other times during the year. The sun will also be in the fourth house. And the sun in the fourth house is like a focus on your roots, the home, the security, the having that home base and having the traditions to carry on that really gives you that sense of I'm here, I belong, and carry on with the traditions of your family. And that's very, very important this time of year because regardless of where you are, if your family is all pagan, part pagan, my family is, pagan, Christian, and Jewish. So we have a little bit of mix of everything, but yet our traditions kind of span whatever our religions are, okay? And we have carried forth traditions from like my parents and the things that we did when I was a kid, I still do during this time of year. And it's very important that you put the focus on those traditions. So at Yule, if you watched my video on the Yule celebration itself in the Wheel of the Year, this is a time where you can incorporate certain traditions from your family in your Yule ritual. For me, one of my traditions is I make my mother's what she used to call applesauce fruitcake or applesauce Christmas cake. And this is not the fruitcake that you think of when you go to the stores in America and you get those brick things. They're just disgusting and gross. This is actually a wonderful, very tasty, very moist, and soaked in apricot brandy version of a Christmas cake. And that's what I incorporate into the cakes and ale portion of my Yule ritual. So, maintaining your focus on tradition and on the home is very important this time of year, the winter solstice celebration this year. The moon, which is all about your emotions and instincts and your roots, again, that mothering kind of feeling. The moon will be in Scorpio, and it usually brings about it makes you go into your feelings and to really make yourself feel kind of vulnerable by taking a really hard stock of your feelings and how you feel about things that are going on about you. It's a time where if someone has wronged you, it's a time to remember that they wronged you, but to give some forgiveness in your heart to them and to move on and either cut ties or to mend a relationship, okay? Especially if this is a really deep emotional relationship. And it's so hard, especially with families. There are a lot of pressures this time of year with the holidays and everything, and you can really get into a big family kerfluffle because everybody is just kind of on edge, okay? The moon will also be in the third house, and this is a focus about learning and being intellectually stimulated and inquiring about other things. So it's about learning and growth. Mercury, which is about thinking, communication, intellect, and learning. Mercury will be in Sagittarius, and this brings kind of, Sagittarians love travel. So Sagittarius is kind of one of those that, you involve with travel. Particularly, Mercury affects the fiery signs. Sagittarius is one of the fire signs. Kind of, I hate to say this, it causes you to almost have what I call squirrelitis. And you have this inability to kind of focus because you'll be doing something and then all of a sudden, squirrel, and your attention is over there. So you may want to, in your ritual, do something with learning and focus and being able to kind of keep the squirrel contained in your life, to give you more clear direction and be helping you to focus on your goals and on what is important to you for the next coming year. Okay. Mercury is also going to be in the fourth house, and this is all about mental activity and education, but it's through your home. So this is something where you may take on like an online learning class. You might watch videos like this one to increase your knowledge about a particular subject and to learn something new. I've always said if I don't learn something every day of my life, then I kind of get stagnant, and that's one of my goals, is to learn something. And it may be something that you think is very inconsequential, but learning is a big part of my life. Now, having Mercury in the fourth house can also make your home life be a little bit irritable. So your ritual could be focused on family, on ancestors, and keeping peace and harmony within the family, not only at Yule, but through the coming year, okay? Now, Venus is all about sensuality and love and harmony and pleasure. And Venus will be in Aquarius, okay? Now, Aquarians have a very experimental nature to them when it comes to relationships and art. Aquarius can also kind of make you like act a little cold in your social interactions, to kind of be a little insular about the way you feel about people. So just keep that in mind. I know that on a good day, the way that I speak, because I spent 31 years in public safety, you learn to speak with authority, that kind of thing. I have to remember that I need to dial that back and tap into that little bit of a softer side of me. Venus will be in the fifth house, and this causes attraction to the opposite sex, or for a deeper romantic relationship. So you may want to incorporate things into your ritual if you're single, to ask the divine to help you find your way with relationships and your interactions and your attractions to others. But it's also, a focus on the familial relationships, which is so important this time of year. Because, like I said, some of our holiday interactions can sometimes leave families very fractured and frazzled. I remember with my own family, with my sister's family, I walked in the door. I was driving down there to go and cook dinner at their place. It was, 2 hours away from me. And I walked through the door, and my niece was having a conniption fit. And I just laid the food down in the kitchen, gave my sister a kiss, and said, "I'm leaving." And I turned around and went home because I just couldn't deal with that kind of energy going on. And unfortunately, this time of year, sometimes the holidays just brings out the absolute worst in us. So the next planet we're going to talk about is Mars. This is about energy and courage and being assertive and activity. Mars is going to be in Scorpio. And Scorpios are very mysterious, and they like to hide themselves and be very, they want to be more of an enigma, okay? It's also, Scorpio gives you a strong sense of survival and a strong sense of your sexuality. Mars will also be in the third house. Okay, this is about active intellect, and sometimes it can bring out and bring forward a little bit of aggression. Okay, what you may think is quick wit can come across very abrupt and abrasive and offensive to others. So you might want to just this can cause real conflict this time of year within the family. And because the Scorpio is going to make you be very blunt about how you're feeling about things. So you may want to just kind of roll it back a little bit and not be hypercritical about what others are doing around you. Okay? Jupiter is all about happiness and optimism and expansion of your mind, expansion of your business. It's everything rolled up into one. Okay. And it also is an expansion of faith. Okay. Jupiter will be in Capricorn, and Capricorn has a focus on being diligent and being efficient. And Capricorns typically do not like waste. Okay, so in your rituals, maybe you can upcycle or recycle something to include in your altar decorations, in your home decorations, to be more conscious of leaving a smaller footprint on our natural resources. And it's also about teaching your children good manners and good stewardship. So this is a big opportunity for you to really take time with your kids or with your family members and educate them, okay? Especially when it comes to conservation and things of that nature. Now, Saturn is the planet of restriction, order, maturity, and time. Saturn will be in Capricorn. And this is about keeping track of goals, and you will probably be feeling kind of a renewed sense of determination in reaching your goals, okay? I know that at Samhain, I set goals for the coming year, okay? And this would be a perfect time to do a little bit of a pulse check, as I call it, and assess what you've gone, and then really sit down and start mapping out a plan to achieve your goals, okay? Saturn is also in the 5th house, and this is the romantic aspect of somebody's character and their creativity and their perception of others. We will find it very hard to relax and have fun, okay? And it just fits right in with all of those stressors of the holiday season, okay? And you may find it particularly hard to express yourself with your creativity and your creative talent. So for your rituals, maybe you can do craft projects or be more creative in your altar decorations and the decorations with your home, things of that nature, to really embrace that influence of Saturn in the 5th house. Next up, we have Uranus, and it's originality, freedom, and revolution. Now, Uranus is in Taurus, and it's a very slow moving planet, okay? And Uranus is in the 9th house as well as being in Taurus, okay? Taurus is about like your material possessions, your money, your career, your job, things of that nature, with an emphasis like on like agriculture and real estate and things like that. And with Uranus in Taurus, it almost wants you to break free from traditional kind of conservatism and be more creative. However, the flip side is then you're not as consistent, okay? And Uranus in the 9th house really gives you confusion and changes about higher thought, the law, religion, philosophy, and travel. So this may be a point for you to spend time with the divine to really think about your spiritual self and about your faith, whatever faith you may embrace, because there are different practices in magic that still, come out of Judeo-Christian background, like Southern Conjure and some of the others where they've been melded together. So it's a time for us all to really assess where we are spiritually and with our faith, and see what we can do to flip it and make it more a more deep connection with the divine and with a higher power, and maybe even learning more about a different kind of path to take. I've said before, I started out very, very firmly in the Celtic pantheon very early in my practice, and now I do a whole lot of conjure and hoodoo that is native to my part of the Appalachian Mountains, okay? Neptune. Now, Neptune is also another extremely slow-moving planet. And Neptune is about illusion and fantasy, your spirituality and imagination. And Neptune will be in Pisces. Now, Pisces is Neptune's native sign, okay? This is a focus on idealism. It's a focus on religion in general, and your level of faith, okay? It's also about a time for, how can I say it, like the power of prayer or power of mysticism. And Neptune will be in the 7th house. And this has a direct influence on marriage and partnerships, okay? There is a lot of idealism with this alignment that's not necessarily footed in reality, okay? Sometimes it will manifest, though, in the form of a mental and spiritual connection with your partner that deepens, okay? And it's almost like you have an intuitive, instinctual connection with someone else, okay, with your partner. Now, Pluto is still a planet as far as astrology is concerned. Don't tell me it's not a planet, because it is in my world. This is about transformation, regeneration, and power. Pluto is very slow moving, okay, and it's in Capricorn. This is about achieving personal transformation and evolving to that higher state, evolving as, you know, a human being on this earth. And it's also encouraging you to take a really good look at efficiency, organization, and management. And this flows into the time of year right after Yule for New Year's, where one of my traditions is to do a thorough cleaning on New Year's Eve, top to bottom. I do a ritual cleansing and blessing of the house to bring everything new and give a fresh new start to the new year. So, you know, I always buy a new broom between Christmas and New Year. So then when I use that old broom to do my cleaning and to literally sweep all the schmutz out of my life, I have a brand new fresh broom for the new year to start, because you don't want to keep the schmutz in your house. Now, Pluto is in the 5th house. Can make especially children a little bit difficult to handle. And during the holidays, well, no duh, okay? Now, this one warning that you need to have about Pluto in the 5th house is that in your romantic relationships, there could be like a little bit of a power struggle where you partners are struggling to control the other one. This is a reminder to just kind of dial it back a little bit, and you can, you know, incorporate into your Yule ritual things about maintaining harmony and peace in the home and strengthening your relationships in the home and within the family, and honoring people in your family that have gone. So next, we're going to talk about the lunar nodes. And the North Node will be in Cancer, and the South Node is in Capricorn. Now, the North Node in Cancer is conflict between family and profession, home and public. And it's like you're going to be fighting that battle of balancing work and life, okay? It's also a focus on your spirituality, your roots, your home life. You may even feel pulled to make that trip back home to get back to your roots. And the North Node will be in the 10th house. The South Node will be in the 4th house. And the North Node in the 10th house is conflict between personal life, a public career, and spiritual self-awareness. I know that a lot of families have a lot of conflict because, you know, it's coming up to year end. A lot of people have to work extra hours this time of year to get their year end stuff in. My family was public safety. We usually ended up working on most of the holidays and things like that, and it ended up, you know, sometimes figuring out when to get together with family when you're in public safety kind of created a little bit of conflict because our schedules are completely different. And we tried to, spend as much time with family as we can. So that's, one of the things, one of the big conflicts that can happen during this time of year. Now, Lilith is about fascination and denial. And Lilith is a fictional point, but a lot of people map it out. Lilith will be in Pisces, and this is about self-sacrifice, blending with others, and also it's about prophetic vision, okay? It's about feeling connected with everything and about your place in that universal energy, okay? Now, this is also a warning about overuse of alcohol, other substances, loss of consciousness, and like falls and causing foot injuries, okay, like broken ankles, broken feet, and stuff like that. Lilith will also be in the 7th house, and this is a tendency to reject relationships with other, if the other person is not the initiator, okay? Chiron is the inner teacher and the wounded healer, okay? Chiron symbolizes our unhealable injuries, incurable trauma, okay? It is encouraging you not to drown in the previous trauma of your life, but to accept it and then help others and help others to learn to move on, okay? Suffering is a part of life. That's just the way that it is, okay? Now, Chiron will be in Aries. This can make you feel like you have been busting your ass and you still don't feel successful. You still don't feel like you can reach that brass ring. So you may want to, as part of your ritual, look ahead to focusing on what will make you successful, and not just necessarily in business, but successful at home, successful in your relationships, successful with interpersonal communication, successful with your faith, things of that nature. And Chiron in the 7th house will be in the 7th house. And this is a time when our personal relationships, we can be hurt again and again and again over, and it's about reopening old wounds sometimes. Again, this goes hand in hand with the holidays, okay? Now, one thing I really want to talk about is that the moon will be square with Venus. And this is a confusion about your real feelings, your emotional needs, your relationships, and everything like that. And another one that I want to really kind of focus on is Mercury squaring Neptune, okay? And this really complicates practical life. So you can see with these planetary alignments and zodiac influences, the big focus on your Yule rituals and celebration are going to be about healing, peace, harmony, and healing the earth and the cycle of life and death. Okay, so I hope you found this information beneficial. If you did, give the video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And I hope you will consider subscribing before you leave if you haven't already. As I always say, my friends, Merry we did meet, merry we will part, until we merry meet again. Be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.